Now on CoastTV News.
Homeowners speak out.
I think we've overpaid for our homes.
High expectations and now high frustration why Osprey Point owners are putting out a bold message.
Another no-show in Dover.
There's a lot of things that are slipping through that aren't being taken care of.
Stella Parker-Selby hasn't appeared once in session. Why there can't be a special election.
Highway hazard.
You have the warning lights on here, but that's another issue.
Illegal U-turns becoming a daily danger in Fenwick. A new plan to stop it.
This is CoastTV News at 6.
Neighbors with strong allegations against their own development. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. Welcome to our News at 6. We begin tonight with a Rehoboth Beach development facing backlash from the very people that live there. Here's where we're talking about. Osprey Point is located off Old Landing Road and flanks the Rehoboth Bay.
On your screen now is the coastline of Osprey Point. The website, named Exposing NV Homes, claims renderings of this coastline were marked very differently than the current state. CoastTV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is in our newsroom. Brandon, homeowners say they bought the development thinking they would have their own beach of sorts. Now they say that's not going to happen.
Maddie, this is those renderings that neighbors said were in brochures for this development. And as you can see, a beachfront access, docks, and an infinity pool. But if you head to the shoreline now, you won't see any of it. Luxury homes ranging from the mid-600,000s to upwards of $900,000.
I think we've overpaid for our homes.
That was Phil Lortora, who moved to Osprey Point in August of 2023 and was drawn to the bayfront beach that he says was advertised.
I think we all paid extra to live here for the amenities they offered us, and to date we don't have any of them.
Lortora even wears a shirt with a QR code calling out his developer. He and his neighbors say NV Homes can never legally or physically construct this photo from their brochure because of protected wetlands and false water depths. So neighbors put up this sign for future home buyers as a warning of sorts.
We hope the sign behind us irritates the NV sales staff to the point of NV stepping up and solving the problem, because they've said they're willing to solve the problem.
The NV Homes Osprey Point website is no longer advertising beach access. On your screen now are the current amenities advertised by the company. This is what neighbors say it used to show, with clear beach access. CoastTV News did reach out to NV Homes. We were told this is the first time they're hearing of this website and provided no statement at this time. Latour tells CoastTV that some people in the neighborhood are possibly thinking about taking legal action, but they all hope NV Homes will deliver on the amenities they were promised. Maddie and Charlie, back to you.
Thank you, Brandon. At a Sussex County Planning and Zoning meeting on February 19th, the commission agreed that Osprey Point's new plan for continued construction had too many changes and required another hearing. Some of those changes were trash storage, 45 new spaces for cars, and a new area for kayak storage.
This brings us right into our CoastTV poll for the day. We want to know who should enforce those development or developer problems.
Let's take a look at the updated results from last news hour. 83% still want local government to step in, though state agencies, HOAs, and lawsuits getting a little bit of the vote.
And we have a comment today. Susan of Lewis says, Sussex government is hand in hand with developers, so they should enforce the promises. If you haven't voted yet, or if you want to leave a comment, go to coasttv.com or use our CoastTV mobile app, and we will show you updates tonight on CoastTV News at 11. The sign says no U-turn, but when nobody's looking, people still crank the wheel and take advantage, specifically at this intersection in Fenwick Island. And the town says it's just not safe, which is why they want to put a stop to the issue. On Tuesday, DelDOT presented plans to add sidewalks all along Coastal Highway in Fenwick. That includes a plan to move the crosswalk to the north end. The Fenwick Island police chief says this simple change could actually save someone's life.
People are making the illegal U-turn there at Bayard, and what they're doing is they're turning into the crosswalk where people will be crossing.
If the sidewalk project goes as planned, you could expect a crosswalk to be moved sometime in 2028.
Let's go ahead and take a live look outside now into Ocean City and turn it over to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams, with a look at our forecast. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Maddie. And we stay cloudy for the rest of this evening. And we only see spotty sprinkles, isolated showers here and there and almost everywhere. In Lewis, we're staying a bit on the cloudy side. Waters are calm for us, so that's helpful. Temperatures in the 60s, and we'll stay in the 60s for the rest of the night. But by the time we get to 10 o'clock, you see this weird little cloud here? That's actually indicating fog. So we're looking for fog to begin to overtake Lewis by 10 o'clock this evening, then stick around for a little while. We're at 63 degrees Indian River Inlet and Bethany Beach, but we're at 69 right now in Georgetown. Coming up, we're going to be tracking some showers that you need to pay attention to because it could change your weekend plans, Maddie.
Thank you. Representative Stell Parker-Selby still hasn't made an appearance at the state legislature. And now people are wondering if we're going to see her at all before session ends on June 30th. CoastTV reporter Zakia Jennings spoke with Republicans who are speaking out even further on the issue.
Day 28 of the legislative session and Democratic Representative Stell Parker-Selby's chair is still empty. There are just 14 more days this session, and no one seems to know if she's going to make an appearance. Representative Tim Dukes, a Republican, continues to call for representation in the 20th District.
I know that they've tried to cover some of the calls and some of the responses when people have reached out from the 20th. I do know there's a lot of things that are slipping through that aren't being taken care of.
CoastTV tried to get a response from Parker-Selby's fellow Democrats, but received no answers to texts or calls. As for her constituents, some have asked about a special election to replace the representative, but because she was sworn in, though it was a private home ceremony, technically there is no vacancy.
The Speaker of the House has to call for this special election. But the Speaker can only call for a special election if there's a vacancy in the office.
CoastTV asked Representative Dukes if constituent calls, letters, or demands could force a special election, but the answer is firm and simple.
No. According to our Constitution and our state law, there's nothing that anybody can do except for the legislator in that particular seat.
Sussex County Republican Chair Daniel Willis is one of the two people from the Republican Party that sent out a letter in March questioning when the representative would return to office. But there are no plans for a second letter at this time. Instead, Willis says moving forward, the focus is on the voters.
Whether that be through internal communications with legislators, whether that be inter-party communications with the equivalent of the Sussex County Democrat chair, these types of conversations need to be at the forefront.
As the days count down, the same questions continue to be asked, and the constituents of District 20 continue to have no representation at the legislature in Dover, as key votes are held and bills are passed. In Dover, Zakia Jennings, Coast TV News.
This isn't the first time a Delaware representative has missed out on sessions due to health issues. Republican Jack Peterman served the Milford area for about 6 years, starting in 2010. He died in 2016. Peterman dealt with multiple health issues. House Republicans say in his final year, Peterman missed 59 of 90 days of the legislative session. However, Republican Tim Dukes says that was handled very differently than the Representative Parker-Selby's absence is being handled now.
We as a caucus encouraged him not to run again. And also the Republican Party also stepped up and said that we don't feel it's in the best interest of that district that he would run again, which he agreed to do that. And so he did not run the next legislative term.
At this point, Democrats continue to look forward to welcoming Representative Stell Parker-Selby back, but there's no timeline for her return.
And we have a lot more news to get to this evening.
U.S. Wind offering money to commercial fishermen, why some are adamantly against the offer.
And tracking a threat for more showers and storms in the upcoming days as temperatures and humidity levels will continue to rise through the start of the weekend. My latest forecast in moments.
Submarine surrender. We'll show you how Delaware's coast played a part in bringing forth the end of World War II when we're back in just 60 seconds.
This is Coast TV News at 6.
Did you know that today, May 14th, is when World War II came to the Delaware Bay?
Coast TV's Matt Pensick shows us how Fort Miles was a key part in ending the war.
With Allied troops advancing towards the Nazi capital of Berlin in the early months of 1945, the Germans made a final effort at sea.
The last group of German submarines came over in March and April of 1945 to attack the east coast of the United States.
4 were sunk in the early stages of that mission. 2, U-boat 853 and U-boat 858, made it to the North American coast. As Fort Miles Museum Board Director Ad Patterline explains, the big guns installed at Cape Henlopen remained silent. That was not the case in New England.
U-853 chose to continue to fight even after the German Navy surrendered on May 8th. It was sunk off of Point Judith in Rhode Island. 858 surrendered on May 10th, the first time, off the coast of Labrador and Newfoundland in Canada. But it surrendered to 2 U.S. destroyers.
Those destroyers told the German sub to move south to Fort Miles and surrender again.
It had come off the coast at Fort Miles, about 15 to 20 miles out, and indicated that it was ready to surrender, and a whole bevy of ships and American blimps and a helicopter even went out to take it over and bring it in.
The American escort ships led the submarine to a dock where the Cape Henlopen State Park fishing pier now stands. It remained there for a few months and became a tourist attraction.
It got some national attention, but interestingly enough, perhaps more attention afterwards. In 1946, the U-858 was actually sent on a war bond tour up and down the East Coast, and people got to go through it as an exhibit and to buy war bonds.
The German submariners were sent to a prisoner of war camp in the United States.
It's why they surrendered to the Americans. They wanted to go to an American prisoner of war camp and not be sent back to Germany by the Canadians.
Today, excitement at the mouth of the Delaware Bay is limited to vessels like the Cape May Lewis Ferry. 80 years ago, these waters saw the excitement of an event symbolizing the end of the war in Europe.
Throughout the world, throngs of people hailed the end of the war in Europe.
And this was the most exciting event that occurred here at Fort Miles during World War II.
For Coast TV News, I'm Matt Pensick.
Here's a look at your Gulf forecast. Cloudy skies, but we may see a little bit of dry weather here and there. Watching out for scattered showers with a high near 81 degrees. We're cloudy for right now, going to become a bit foggy for later tonight, and we're setting up for a couple more days of rain. So it's kind of a drizzly and dreary outlook on the forecast. However, Sunday's looking sunny on top of that. Our Bay Health camera, Milford, 67 degrees right now. We're staying in the mid to upper 60s for the rest of the evening. Looks like the rain will last in Milford at least till about 7 o'clock. Spotty sprinkles what we're expecting for the rest of the night for the majority of us. We're at 68 degrees in Seaford, 69 in Georgetown, 68 Milton, 62 degrees right now. Rehoboth Beach. The winds have now shifted more directly out of the south, but still relatively calm. We have a 15-mile-per-hour gust briefly reported out of the Indian River Inlet. Other areas, 5 to 7-mile-per-hour gusts. Not a big deal. But it's ironic because when you put that against the concern we have along the beaches, we still have an active small craft advisory in effect until 6 o'clock Thursday for Dewey, Bottom Hills, Ocean View, Fenwick Island. Now, that also includes Ocean City down to Chincoteague. That's where we have 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts and the waters can be a little choppy. As far as the amount of rain that we've received, just over a half an inch in Ocean City and just over a quarter of an inch in Georgetown. Here's the latest rendition of the precipitation is moving to the north. We have some leftover lingering sprinkles near Bridgeville going up towards Harrington. But as we widen the scope here, you'll notice the warm front, this is warm front inspired showers, so they typically don't turn severe unless conditions are really ripe and warm. But we're not quite that warm. We're not quite that ripe either for this record. Now, what is ripe and blossoming and coming to full bloom is the scattered showers down throughout portions of Virginia, where they have some concerns for some serious thunderstorms there. That won't move towards us tonight. 81 for the high in Georgetown. For tomorrow, we're looking for 82 in Vienna, 80 for the high Cambridge, and with the winds out of the south-southwest at 5 to 15 miles per hour, look for 79 degrees for the high Ocean City. Our precipitation chances stay elevated Thursday and Friday, but they diminish greatly on Saturday, although we have an outside chance of rain on Saturday, because we see Thursday's looking pretty clear throughout a good portion of the time period. And as we look at the most southern portion of our viewing area, Thursday's clear, but as we go into Friday, we start seeing more moisture beginning to develop for us, and that'll bring about that opportunity for a scattered shower. And last but not least, the amount of rain we're expecting up to about a half an inch. Finally, here's a look at your extended forecast.
Thank you so much. New at 6, the company that wants to build a wind farm off the OC coast announced a $20 million proposal. That would be an agreement with both Maryland and Delaware's environmental agencies. The money would go to grants and harbor maintenance, but commercial fishermen today have a lot of questions. But here's what U.S. Wind had to say about part of the deal.
So they will show us that they fished here in the past through their vessel tracks, through their from their landing receipts, and then they'll show, this year we didn't make as much money, and it was in that area.
Delegate Wayne Hartman says this deal is nothing more than a Band-Aid, and opponents hope the Trump administration steps in to stop offshore wind.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
The Shorebirds are back in action tonight for double duty. After last night's game was postponed, we've got a doubleheader tonight on DSN. Delmarva opens up its series with the Fredericksburg Nationals tonight. The Shorebirds are back after 2 straight weeks on the road. Yasmiel Bousset leads the Shorebirds in RBIs, hits, batting average, and on-base percentage this season. Game 1 is on DSN right now. And we're deep into the trenches after 3 episodes of our docu-series on Cape Henlopen football. We saw how well the Vikings were playing at the beginning of the season with back-to-back wins, but we saw Cape face adversity for the first time in 2024. Let's take a look at episode 4.
Couple things that we're seeing right now.
On the next Into the Trenches.
They punched us in the mouth early.
And just trust the process, right? It's a 4 quarters.
Everyone was locked in the locker room.
10 points in high school football game is nothing. Nothing and nothing.
Up and sweeps the leg. And now all the noise is on the home sideline.
Into the Trenches, a new voyage on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus, sponsored by Preston Automotive.
Make sure to download the DSN app and subscribe to DSN Plus to keep up with all of our spring sports action. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Expect a big move of fog over Ocean City, kicking in by 7 o'clock and sticking around. That's what those funny clouds are about, by the way. Our umbrella winner is Hannah Warner of Ocean View. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line. The number to call is 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by Brogstedt, Mandalis, Federico. And here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast.
All right, Paul, thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 6.
For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
The NBC Nightly News is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 11. Have a great evening.